I have an incredible honor today, and indeed we all do. I have the privilege of introducing you to the bravest person you'll ever meet. I'm sure, as Steve said, you know the broad outlines of Malala Yousafzai's story. In October 2012, a masked Taliban gunman in Pakistan's Swat Valley flagged down a school bus, boarded it, and shouted at the terrified girls, "Who is Malala?" He then shot 14-year-old Malala in the face. Her crime? Speaking up for the right and belief that all children should be able to get an education. But sometimes history has other plans. If Malala's voice had become a threat to those who held power, their misguided violence resulted in making her voice and message exponentially stronger. Over the past year, I've had the opportunity to learn more about what led to that moment and why the Taliban and all who deny girls the right to learn and all who seek to oppress and repress women and girls have everything to fear from this young woman. For this is a voice, as you will hear, that cannot and will not be silenced. As my friend who's filming her documentary told me, the Taliban shot the wrong girl. So Malala, welcome. I wonder if you can begin our conversation by telling us a bit about your childhood, your early education, and some of the conditions in the Swat Valley that shaped your upbringing.
First of all, I would like to say thank you to you, and then thank you to all of you for giving me this honor to speak here, and then thank you for listening as well. And I think it would be a long conversation, so be ready. Swat Valley is a very beautiful place. It is known for its beauty. It has tall mountains, beautiful rivers, and lush green hills and trees. And people used to go there for visits. We used to have tourists from all over the world. But as it happens in every movie, when there's a happy life in the beginning, something bad happens in the middle. And the same happened to us as well. We were living a happy life. I was going to school every day. My father, my mother, we all were in a very small house, not very rich economically, but very rich in our values, in our ethics and everything. At that time, something bad happened. Some extremists, the Taliban, they came to the valley and they changed our lives in a way that girls' education was banned. More than 400 schools were destroyed at that time. Women were not allowed to go to markets. Hairdresser shops were blasted. Music shops were blasted. They said that no one has the right to be free, and people should live in. All people should wear one kind of dress. All people should speak in one type of way. So they wanted us not to be diverse. Not to be different. They wanted us all to be same, which is impossible in this world. We are sent with diversity, and we are living in diversity. So they were not accepting this. But the thing which was very important to me was education, was going to school. And they banned that as well. And for me, at that time, it was quite difficult to imagine a life without going to school. And I knew what the consequences would be if I don't go to school. In our society, a girl's life is that a girl is born, the family gets sad because they don't have a son, but then after a while, the girl grows up, she starts working with her mother, and she cannot go to school. Then she gets married, she has children, then grandchildren, and then she serves her husband or father-in-law, mother-in-law, and that's all her life. She never knows who she is. She never knows that she has an identity, that she is someone, that she is a human being. And I did not want to face the same suffering. I wanted to be someone. I wanted to have an identity. And that's why I decided that I will speak up for my rights. I cannot suffer through this situation in which I have to live under terrorism, and I have to live under this difficult situation where you hear the bomb blasts, and when you hear that every night 2 or 3 people are killed or slaughtered, could not live in that situation. That's why I decided that I have to speak up. And I had 2 options. One was to remain silent and never to speak, and then to be killed by the terrorists and live forever in terrorism. And the second option was to speak up for my rights, and then die. And I chose the second one because I wanted to live in peace. I said that I should do what I can, I should contribute to my society, and I did by writing the BBC blog and giving interviews and speaking to media and using media as a tool to highlight the issues that we are facing, and as well as to tell the world that this is happening in Swat. The beautiful valley is now a house of terrorism. People are suffering, and the world needs to take an action, and the government should do something. And soon the government took action, the army took action, and the Taliban, they flew away from the valley, and we started going back to school. And as I said, it is like a movie. The ending is always good, and the ending of this little story, this little movie was also good. I was getting education, and first I wanted to become a doctor, but then I decided that I should become the Prime Minister of Pakistan because by saying that the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I really mean politics, but I don't want to say politics because it's not a very nice word, but I think you would understand what I mean by saying a prime minister, because I want to change my country. I want to bring great changes there, and I want to work for education. Instead of standing in front of the parliament and holding banners that do something, why not I go there inside, and why not I do it? That's why I decided I will do it, instead of just shouting at the politicians where they are not doing anything. My life became happy, and I had many other dreams. When I used to go to school, I would see little girls going to other people's houses. They're going there for work, for cleaning their dishes and cleaning their houses. And I wanted to see those girls holding books in their hands, holding pens in their hands, and learning and going to school. I wanted to see them in a school uniform. It was my dream. And that's why I told my father that I want to do something for them. And the awards that I got at that time, I just thought that I have got awards, but I think that I don't deserve it. I should do something. And then I would say, yes, I deserve these awards, because I was given a few awards in Pakistan as well at that time. And we started the idea of the Malala Fund there in Swat, but soon after that, I was shot, but before that, we were 21 girls in the board of the Malala Fund, and all were my class fellows, and we decided that these would be our objectives. We would work for education. We would make sure that every girl is going to school. But then on the 9th of October, 2012, I was shot, and at that time, the terrorists, they did a very big mistake, because before that, I was a little bit worried that how would it feel when you die, or when someone kills you, what would be the feeling? And I was also afraid that they might be able to stop me. They might be able to stop my campaign of education. But at that day, they proved that no one can stop me, and even death is supporting me in my cause. And as I said that, my weaknesses died on that day, and a strength was born. So I think I should be very thankful to them.
Oh my, you're amazing. Wow. So you had the idea of the Malala Fund when you were still back in school in Pakistan.
Yes, I had the idea of the Malala Fund, and it was for those girls who were suffering from domestic child labor. And there was a woman who was coming into our house, and she had 3 little daughters. And I told my father that I can't see these little daughters working in our house, and even if not in ours, they are going to other people's houses as well, because they are poor, they have no other way of earning, and that's the only way that they can earn. They can get food, they can get something to drink. And then I told my father that you should admit these girls into your school. My father was running a school at that time, and the school is still there. He started it in 1994, and it had 1,100 students, both girls and boys. And I told my father that these girls should get free education in your school. And my father did admit those girls, and those girls are now, they have got scholarships now from the Malala Fund, and they are learning.
So Malala, tell everyone a little bit about what happened after you were shot, and where you're living now, and where your family is living, and what you're studying.
After I was shot, I was brought to Birmingham to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is a very good hospital with very nice doctors and nurses, and they took a lot of care of me, and all the surgeries and everything was successful. I'm going to a very nice school, but there's one thing which I should mention, in which my father does a little bit discrimination towards me, is that my brother is going to a mixed school and I'm going to a girls' school. So, but that school is nice. Otherwise, I would have done a very big protest. But that school is nice. That's why I have said, all right, I'll continue my education in a girls' school as I had in Swat. The school is very nice. The girls are they're brilliant, and there's too much competition there as well. And I'm quite busy. Sometimes I miss a lot of lessons, and then I don't know what the teacher is saying. And I am quite then weak in the tests and exams as well. So I try my best, and the girls are already brilliant, so I have to work hard.
But right now you can't go back to Pakistan?
It seems quite difficult, and we already, I wish to go back to Pakistan. It was my dream, and we already talked to the government, but it seems a little bit, it does not seem safe, and the responsible people, they also do not want to take this risk. So.
Right. So how do you balance speaking to heads of state and then speaking to your girlfriends? How do you manage to navigate between all that comes with being a 16-year-old and also this amazing opportunity that you have to be a spokesperson for girls' education across the world?
So most of the times I do my activities for education and the campaign for education on the weekends or in the holidays. Other than that, I don't miss my school days. But when it comes to an important event such as today's event, today is a Tuesday and I had to go to school today, but I came here for a reason, and I came here for the reason that your help and your support will help us to give education, to help children to get education. And for that reason, I said that I'll sacrifice one day of my school so the children can go to school forever, for their whole life, and make their future bright. So I'm hopeful that you will support us.
Nice. Since you've been talking to your father, who's sitting right here and has a mic, Zia, I wonder if you can give us your perspective on a few things. How did you feel, obviously, after Malala was shot, about her becoming a global ambassador for girls' education? How do you balance that as a parent, your concern, but also your awareness that she's a very, very special individual?
Thank you very much. First, Malala was my daughter, but now I am her father. And really, I was an activist in Swat, a peace campaigner, education activist, and when Talibanization came, so I was the activist, and she was a small child, but as we say in English, as the father saw the son, so as the father saw the daughter. So what I was doing, she got an impression from that, and she joined the caravan of peace and education. They wanted to silence her locally forever, but man proposes, God disposes. She was destined for some other great cause, and now her voice is global. We keep a balance between the activities. We are committed to her education. She herself is very much committed, and she quarrels with me sometime. But our CEO of the Malala Fund is here. We all are very supportive about her education. That is the topmost priority. She goes to school. The only day she missed this year is this day of school because she thought it's very important to meet such important people. Also, my approach about the fatherhood, I want to share it with you. I am a father like all fathers here in this hall. I may be a different father in a patriarchal society. And it is simple. It's not rocket science. It's very simple. I think that when we talk of fatherhood, so if I'm a father, why should I a different father to my son and a different father to my daughter? If I'm a father for my son, and if I believe that he should be independent, he should go to school, so then there is my daughter. I should be the same father to my daughter as well. And I always give a message to the fathers and to the fathers of those societies, especially patriarchal societies, that you don't need to do anything special. People ask me what I especially did to train my daughter or to teach her. The only thing, don't ask me what I did, ask me what I did not do. I did not clip her wings. So all daughters are amazing. They are very creative. The only thing a father can do that they should encourage and they should honor their independence. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So Malala, you have an incredible opportunity to shape a conversation around issues that are so critically important for girls across the world. And you will, by virtue of who you are, shine a bright spotlight on inequities and injustices. So why don't you walk us through a bit of the priorities of the Malala Fund now as they are, and where you think philanthropic dollars can be channeled to the best effect?
Yeah. As I already said that before I was short, I started the Malala Fund, but after that, when I was brought to Birmingham, I did not know what to do and how can I restart the fund. But then Shiza was there. She's very creative. She's very powerful, and she is an example to women all over the world that a 25-year-old girl, a woman, can be the CEO of a fund, and she can start a new foundation. So I'm very thankful to her. So we started the Malala Fund again maybe 9 or 8 months ago, and we said that we want to do two things. One was advocacy, to reach responsible people, to ask them to do their duties, and also to tell wealthy people to contribute in the campaign of education, and then also going and working on the ground. This is our second motto, and this is our second objective, that we will go and we will do work on the ground to see what children are facing, to see their problems, and then to find a solution for it and help them in getting education. And every time the situation is different, so you have to find a different solution to it. So these are our two objectives. And the Malala Fund also want to recognize those girls who speak up for their rights, who speak against ignorance, and who say that we want equality, we want equal rights for women. So we want to give them a big platform so that they can speak in front of the whole world and they can highlight the issues that they are facing.
So what are some of the programs that you've started already? Because I know you've done some travel.
In these few months, we did a lot. We started our first project in Swat, which is my Swat Valley, my beautiful Swat Valley, my hometown. And I said that the girls which I used to see every morning going to other people's houses, cleaning their houses, not going to school, I said that first of all, we should work for them. And we introduced scholarships for those girls who are suffering from child labor, and now these girls are getting education, they are learning, and we also pay their families so that then their families won't say that we don't have money to eat something, we don't have money to buy clothes or to live in a house. So we support them economically as well, and we give their daughters scholarships so that they can complete their education and be what they want and fulfill their dreams. Then we started next project in in Jordan, and it was for the Syrian refugees. And I want to highlight it again that the Syrian refugees, they need our support right now because they are in an emergency. And those girls, which I saw there, one of them was Mozoon, who wants to be a journalist, and her dream is to serve her country, is to help her country, to come out of this conflict, and she wants every girl to be educated. And I want to see Mozoon to become a journalist in future, and that's with your support we can do it. So the Malala Fund went there to Jordan, and we started to try to provide good facilities of education to those students who were in schools, but the schools were of tent, and children from age 5 to age 13 were in one classroom. There was only one teacher. So we wanted to give them good facilities and then also support them. Also support the Jordan children because their education is also affected. There are many Syrian refugees, and then there are students in Jordan, the Jordan students. So they have to do the shifts. So they study in the morning and then in the afternoon. So we want to help both these children. Then our project was in Kenya, and in Kenya I went to Masai Mara, and that was a very interesting trip. And we started working with Free the Children, which is a very amazing organization. And they go and they work on the ground, but they not only work, they make it sustainable. They build a school, but then they don't leave the school. They say we want to make sure that the students are going there, there are teachers, the students are getting good facilities, and then there's a hospital to take care of their health. And then we also help their mothers and their parents economically. So that was a very good experience of mine, and I became hopeful that what I have always dreamed of, making good schools and then making a sustainable development, I thought that yes, it can be true. See it on the ground, it is happening. So we built a school in Kenya as well, and we want to do more and more. But now the fourth thing, which is an emergency, just like the Syrian conflict in which the children are suffering. The fourth one is about the Nigerian girls who have been abducted. More than 270 girls are there who are being kidnapped by an extremist organization called Boko Haram. And I know you all would be aware of it. And we want to help those girls. We want to do a campaign for them, and we already did a campaign for them. It was Bring Back Our Girls, and we contributed our best to that so that we can tell the responsible people to take action and do something for it. But we decided that instead of asking responsible people, which is good, we did our best, but now it's time to go there and to do what we can and to contribute from our side. So the Malala Fund is hoping to go to Nigeria and to help those girls' families and other girls in Nigeria. Not only those, but there are other girls as well who cannot get education. And as we all know that Nigeria is the first country, is one of the top country in which most of the students, most of the children are uneducated and they are out of school. So this is our next campaign, this is our next project that we will go and we will provide them scholarships, and people have already raised funds for that. It's $150,000, and I'm hopeful that people will support us to do more and more work for that. So that's all we have done in these few months, and I'm hopeful that we can do more as well with your support. And my dream is to see every child going to school. And I know there might be a few hundred that we have sent to school, but with your contribution, we can do more. And this is another project as well that we would say, let's build 100 schools. And this we are going to soon start it. So I have made it my responsibility that I'll do this campaign for building 100 schools. And then we will build it as well through the Malala Fund. But then we want to ask the responsible people that now it should be your duty to build 100,000, to build more and more and more. So we can do it together. Let's decide that what our responsibility should be as an individual. We can all decide that I'll help one child to be educated. It can mean a lot. If 400 of us, more than that, if we decide that we will help one child each, it can mean that 400 more children will be going to school. So I think it depends on how much we do and how much we help each other, because I believe that we should all work together. Our dream is the same, our motto is the same, that every child should be in school. So why not do it together?
So as you travel around the world and bring spotlights to areas that need a lot of focus and attention. I imagine you need to partner with organizations on the ground. So can you talk a little bit about those partnerships that you're developing and the fund is developing? Because obviously if you come to different countries but then depart, the work has to continue on the ground. So how are you ensuring that?
So Malala Fund has a very small team, but we are doing work in partnership with other organizations, and that's great because although there are some local organizations which can tell us what is the situation on the ground and how can we understand the problem that children are facing, and then they can also tell us that how can we because there are some issues in society as well which we have to understand, so they help us in understanding that as well, and then they know how to do work on the ground. So we work with local organizations, then we work with international big organizations who can help us economically and as well as in helping us to raise more funds and to do a lot of work. So I believe that we should work together, and there are many organizations, like hundreds and thousands, who have the same goal, and that is education. So we want to work with them together.
So are you working with the ministries of education and the government as well at the same time that you're doing the grassroots work?
I'm very angry with my shawl right now. Sorry for
There you
that.
go.
I think it's very important that the government gets involved in this campaign, because as we know, most of the governments are spending most of the money from their budgets on defense, on army, and they give a very little money to education. The example is of Pakistan. More than 40% is spent on the defense and only about 4% is spent on education, which is very less. Then I think in every country there are trillions of money spent on wars and conflicts, and there are like a few amount of money compared to that is spent on education. So I think the government's role is very important. We haven't done a great work with the governments yet, but I'm hopeful that the governments would also support us, and it's very important for us to do collective work with the government in Pakistan, in Kenya, in Nigeria. So I'm hopeful that it will.
Yeah, it seems a necessity because it's obviously a failure of the security sector, which is what the government's supposed to provide, that prevents girls from access and completing their education. Obviously, you lived that. That was a failure of the government to secure the Swat Valley and to provide for your safety. And the same thing in Nigeria, so it seems like you can't ignore talking to the president and the ministries.
Unfortunately, when we look at all the conflicts, all the governments seem very weak, and it seems that the governments are like a very weak body and they cannot do anything. But the important thing is that people vote governments, their prime minister, their president for a reason, and the reason is that those people, the government, will protect all the citizens, they will provide full security, they will provide all the facilities that they need for their life. They will get quality education, good health facilities, and other opportunities in their society. But unfortunately, there are so many conflicts nowadays, such as in Syria, in Iraq nowadays, and as well as the situation of Pakistan is getting worse every day. And it just makes me worry that what is going to happen and who is going to find a solution for it. And I always try to ask the political leaders and from all over the world that they should take a step, they should not ignore it, they should come and sit together. It's for the safety of every country. They should negotiate, they should try to find solutions for it, peaceful solutions for it, and they should also try to find what is the reason that these terrorist groups have raised up, and what is the reason that the extremists are using the extreme ways, like more than the extreme ways, for their small demands.
I'll ask you one more question, then we'll open it up to everyone else. You know what's stunning to me, having met your dad and you, is that despite the fact that you almost died, despite the fact that your family is living in exile, you have no bitterness in your heart. There's no anger there that's fueling your work. It's actually based in love and compassion. Where do you find that center? Tell us where that comes from.
The first thing is that I don't actually remember that I was being shot. It just, when people say, then I remember, oh, did it really happen? I don't really think about it. But the other important thing is that my father is there, and I always believe how much courage he has, and he inspires me. And then there's another person as well whom we don't mention all the time, but that's my mother. And my mother always encouraged us to continue this campaign, and she believes that what we are doing is the truth, and we should never get afraid of telling the truth. And she says that go on and do it. I was going to say another thing, but I'll say it later. Yes, another important thing is that if I want other people to be nice to me, then I should be nice to them as well. And if I want the terrorists to stop wars, to stop conflicts, and to stop hating people, then I should also not hate them. Then I should also not do any harsh things towards them. So it's my own philosophy that if you want other person to be nice to you, then you should be nice to that person. And I want all the extremists to be nice towards me, to be nice towards every child, to be nice towards all of us. Then we should all be nice towards them. So this is what I think.